Okay, I think we are live. Oh, great. Says my internet connection is unstable.
Really?
All right. Okay, we are live. Alrighty. Okay, welcome everybody to our second episode of See You Saturday with Master Cook and our special guest, Master J.C. Williams. All right. Okay. So I'm going to hop off and then I'll let you guys kind of do the interview. And then as questions come up, I'll pop back in and ask my questions.
Sounds good.
Okay. Good luck.
Thank you. So your name is Master J.C. Williams. What does the J.C. stand for?
John Carroll. It's a grandfather on each side.
Okay. Because everybody asks that all the time, I'm sure.
I used to not tell people. It was funny to have people guess for years. I think Master Mimi used to guess all the time.
I've only known you as Master J.C. or J.C. I've never knew what it stood for. So what belt do you hold in Taekwondo, sir?
I'm a 4th degree black belt.
Okay. Do you do judo?
That's a funny question because I used to, and I've been a temporary black belt in judo for, I don't know, 15, 16, 17 years, maybe 17 years. So I should probably one of these days get back into it and test for my black belt in judo.
Little bit of a push, okay. And what locations can we normally find you training at, sir?
Well, these days you see me at HMA Okolona, though I have been at all of them. I've been at HMA 2 the most. HMA East End is where I've spent most of my Wong's career, but I also was at HMA St. Matthews when that was around for quite a while as well.
And how long have you been with HMA total?
Sorry.
20 years, 2 decades.
Wow. You started when you were 2, right, sir?
Thank you. I look very young, I guess. No, I actually started as a teenager. I was 13.
Okay. And how did you find out about Wong?
I had not exactly heard of Wong's. And then one day I was having ice cream with a friend, and some random Asian fellow came up to our table while we were eating ice cream and forced an orange flyer upon me and told me how I should do martial arts. And that was a strange experience. And then later that summer, my mom signed me up for a 2-week trial. And lo and behold, it was with that guy that came and encountered me at Graders, which you all probably don't know, but that used to be a regular occurrence. Every summer we would do kind of short-term summer camps, and like the graduation of those, everybody would go and get Graders ice cream. That used to also be how we would conclude demonstrations and things like that too. We would always go get Graders ice cream. So
You just happened to be there at the right time at the right place.
man,
All right. Are you from Louisville?
I am born and raised.
Okay. And what is your family outside of HMA family?
What is my family?
Yes. You have a wife and children. Some of us know, some of us don't.
I've got a big family. Let me. Yeah, so I'm married with 2 kids. I've got a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, almost 4-year-old. And yeah, then most of my family is here in Louisville. My wife's family is in Kansas mostly.
Okay. And what is your profession outside of Taekwondo?
I work for an organization called Team Expansion, and we're a missions organization. I work in communications, so do marketing and graphic design and website and social media, all those fun things that get thrown onto communications people.
And tell us about some of the designs you've done for HMA. A lot of times people don't realize where that stuff comes from for championships. So.
Yeah, Wong's is kind of like was my entrance into graphic design. So it's funny to think back. Some of these things I've forgotten, but I've been reminiscing over the weeks. And the big banner tournaments that has the flags all around the edges is like one of our older banners. And I designed that when I was in like 8th grade, maybe. I don't know, very early on, just on paper. I drew it with markers because we were just having like a who has an idea for a banner thing in leadership class. And that was the concept that I came up with. I had no graphic design skills at the time, but they chose my design. And for me as a kid, I was like, that's amazing. Like they're creating a banner based on this thing I drew with marker. And that really just kind of snagged me. And then in high school, they had a graphic design course. And I jumped into that and really enjoyed it. And a Wong student actually was to thank to set me up with Photoshop, which I needed to be able to do that course. And yeah, I've progressed a bit throughout the years and designed some things for Wongs. I still don't really think of myself as a graphic designer. I'm more of a marketer that can dabble in graphic design. But like this logo I designed and several of the tournament logos and tournament handbooks and some of our flyers, just whatever Master Mimi happens to need and throws my way, I design all kinds of things.
So all the graphics we're seeing on the HMA online, you have created all of those too.
Yes, most of those are from me. Yes, ma'am.
Perfect, perfect. Where did you go to high school?
I went to Manual.
Woohoo, go Crimson. Okay. And college, sir?
Manual or just Master Philip?
Master Philip and his older brother Tyler, they're both Manual graduates.
Okay, great.
Yes, sir. Where'd you go to college, sir?
I went to U of L.
Alrighty. And what hidden talent?
Oh, I said I've stayed local. Hidden talents. Most of my hidden talents are probably not hidden to a lot of Wong's people, but there's a lot of new people that don't know, I guess, that a lot of my past history, sports-wise, was in gymnastics and diving. So I can do lots of flips and such, theoretically. I haven't tried them in a while. But so that's probably the most fun hidden talent I have. Don't know if I have any others, not that I can think of.
I can remember one Pegasus parade, you're doing backflips down Broadway. So,
I used to have like gravel in my hands for weeks after those parades, but didn't hurt at the time. There's plenty of adrenaline.
okay. It was fun. It was fun. Okay. How has HMA impacted your life, sir?
Oh my, in every way possible, probably. It's crazy to think how much I was raised by Wongs in so many ways. Grandmaster's such like a father figure. Master Mimi is like my sister. You know, these people are the people I grew up with. I feel like I don't know, you really notice it when you know, I grew up working at Wong's. That was my first job ever and my only job for many years. And then I ventured out and tried some other things as I got older. And I think one of the crazy things is like the work ethic that Wong's instills in you. And I didn't realize that that was unique until I got into other jobs. And, you know, people are on their phones all the time. They don't care about being on time. Like, it was just crazy to like discover the lack of work ethic that's in the world, because at Wong's we're an hour early at least, and we give 110%, and we're all day people, you know, all those things that we always say, but it really does get instilled in you, and you have a passion for doing things well and for presenting yourself well, and for giving your all to whatever you're doing. So I'm thankful that Wong's has taught me to kind of carry that into all kinds of areas of my life.
One question that's come up several times, which you know, is your beard care, sir. Your secret.
I don't have a very extensive beard care. I trim it and I wash my face. That's about it. I don't do any of the beard oils or anything like that. It looks different all the time because I just trim it by hand. So, well, I mean, I use like a razor thing what are those called? But yeah, nothing besides that.
You just have good genes. You need to thank your mom and dad.
Yeah, I remember my first non-Wong's job, I think, was at Whole Foods Market, and a lot of my coworkers had beards there, and I didn't, because Grandmaster did not like beards, so I had never had one. And I, had enough stubble though that my coworkers are always like, "Oh, you're such a waste of a beard. You've got to grow a beard. Grow a beard. I want to see it." And then finally, I lived in a homeless shelter for a year, and that was interesting. It was an internship there, and everybody had beards there. So I finally grew a beard, and everyone got to finally see the beard, and it's kind of stayed ever since. So.
Tell us a little bit about that internship. I remember that, sir. That was interesting, your blog that you would share with us.
Yeah, I did an internship at a local homeless shelter here in Louisville called, it's had many names. It was Jefferson Street Baptist Center, then Louisville Rescue Mission. Now it's called Recenter Ministries. And yeah, it's an internship designed for young adults to come, and the guys literally lived in the homeless shelter. The girls lived in a nearby house, and we'd go and work in there every day. We got to know all the residents really well. And then the visitors, we'd have hundreds of visitors every day, and we memorized all of their names, and we would give them a place to store luggage. We would get to know them, have conversations with them, hand out toiletries, make meals, all kinds of things. So that was another defining thing I did in my life, I guess, was that year really shaped the way I viewed people and how much people matter, and viewed the homeless. I didn't really realize how many homeless were in Louisville before I did that. I didn't have like this deep-seated passion for the homeless. It just, I learned about this internship, and I don't know, God compelled me to do it, and it was a pretty crazy thing. But yeah, if anybody's interested in something like that, the organization that does it is called Love Thy Neighborhood now. They've become more official, and you can do internships at that homeless shelter still, but you can also do them with like 10 different ministries throughout Louisville. So it's pretty cool. I would recommend it.
Yeah, it was an exciting experience for us reading your blogs and what was going on. That was kind of neat. So.
Yeah, it was cool to have Wong's people join me in that and stay up to date.
I'm gonna unmute myself. Sorry for interjecting here. Mr. Gardner has a question. Master JC, you designed many demos and demo epics. Any favorite stories from those?
Oh man, they all blend together. I was realizing, I posted on the Throwback Thursday the other day an old picture from one, and it made me remember how many good versus evil demos we had. It was always good versus evil, often with the 4 elements. I think Frozen 2 was inspired by our demonstrations. But maybe my favorite, maybe not my favorite, but the one that I think back to is the original element demo was actually not created by me. It was created by Mark Granati, who was one of my first instructors, the first guy I met at Wong's actually. And that was when I was, I don't even know now, I've lost track, but a lower belt. And it was this huge epic demo. The first thing we had done like that, we'd always just been in our regular uniforms, no costumes, no really like theme to the demonstration. And then that was the first time we had this epic thing where all these different elements, wind and fire and water and earth were dueling, and there was good and evil. So it was pretty exciting. And we've carried that on in many different ways over the years, created the fan and sword combined routine, and the bow staff and nunchuck combined routine. And one year we had like a 3-minute fight scene between good and evil, between I was good that year and Katie. Do y'all remember what Katie's name? Hayes. Yeah, Katie Hayes was evil, and she was pulled in on one of the floats. So we literally strapped chains onto one of our Pegasus Parade floats, and she was on the float, and we had a group of slaves pulling her in by hand to the demo, and she came off, and then she and I had like a 3-minute fight scene, and I almost collapsed because
I was exhausted just watching you.
So that was memorable. There's been a lot of fun ones.
All right. And then are your kids on the mat?
They kind of are. They're a little young. So, you know, at HMA 3, we do tiger tots. So they're more in the tiger tot stage right now. But we've been doing obstacle courses at home and working on some things while we've been at home. And my son, especially Valor, he loves it. So I'm sure he will be into it before long. And my daughter doesn't say she loves it as much, but she's very into it when she does it. So they will definitely eventually be on the mats regularly. But yeah, right now we're just dabbling.
Okay. And then Miss Nally is asking, do you have any hobbies?
Hobbies. Well, these days, Wong's is kind of my hobby. It used to be everything, my job and my hobby and my friends in my life. And it still is in a lot of ways. But these days, it's a little more of a hobby. I have a full-time job and all of that outside of it. Do I have any other hobbies? I like to cook sometimes. I don't know. That might be it. Do I do anything else? Graphic design was a hobby.
So interesting.
My job. Everything that's a hobby has become a job. So I enjoy what I do for work. So that helps.
All right. I think that's it for now.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Bye. Share some of your fond HMA memories. Have you been like to China, Korea, traveled with the SWAT team, demo teams, those kinds of things? Out of town tournaments?
Yes, ma'am. So I went to Korea in 2003. That was when we were only doing Korea. I think the next one, 2006, was when we added on China. So you were on the 2003 Korea trip, and I don't know if anybody else on that trip is still on the mats. I mean, Grandmaster Wong. But oh yeah, was she there? I can't ever remember if she was on it or not. But that trip was very memorable. I was only 16, I think, and I didn't go with my parents. And you know, my best friends, my Wong's friends, were there, and so we had a blast. Though I also got extremely sick. And was sick for 2 weeks after I got back. And so that was a little taxing. And it's funny because I have a painful memory from that trip that at the time was horrible, but now I look back on it kind of fondly. I was looking at pictures of it the other day. Actually, I found old pictures of Jeju Island is like the Hawaii of Korea. And when we were in Jeju Island, Grandmaster got all of the staff up at 5 a.m., I think it was, which was very early for a 16-year-old, and dragged us onto the beach. And we had to race on the beach, and we continued racing until we won our race. So we did a lot of sprints that morning at 5 a.m. while feeling a little queasy. But it was exhausting, but looking back, it was beautiful, and the pictures are amazing. And afterwards, we climbed across this crazy like black rocks that were on the beach and found this waterfall that cascaded over the side of the island. So it was this kind of beautiful memory that was tough at the time, but now it's awesome to look back on it. Other Wong's memories, there's so many. I have traveled a bit for tournaments. I haven't done a ton of out-of-town tournaments. We started doing that more frequently in the more recent years, where I haven't been able to as much. I went to Washington, D.C., and I went to a Lemons tournament way back, but it's been a while. Those might be the only ones I've done, maybe, that I'm remembering at the moment.
And we get to Mr. Lemons and Miss Helen every year in October championship. So
yes, ma'am. I love the Lemons. They're fun.
That's always fun. What do you want students to learn from you?
Oh man, specifically from me, I guess the thing I'm known for is being a bit of a perfectionist. It's hard to get a stripe from me. So I want students to learn that they can push themselves.
A little bit? A little bit? You can be honest. Those are honest shows. Nobody's here to judge you. except maybe
That
me.
just means if you've gotten a stripe from me, you should feel extremely proud of that stripe. No, but well, she chimed in just for that. No, but I've always noticed that people, sometimes we sell ourselves short. We settle. We say that was good enough, or that was pretty good. I'll ask, do you want to do that again? No, I think I know it. And let's do it again. So I'm always up for doing it another time. One of our past instructors, Sarah Subbinham, used to always laugh at me because she would say that I say one more time like a million times in a row. I'm like, okay, just one more time. And that was always how I operated demo team as well. We would always practice one more time. But
one more time.
I was actually, but yeah.
Do you have a style of teaching?
A style of teaching. I probably did more so. What is my style these days? When you're on the mats all the time, I feel like you define or come up with like a very definite style. Now I don't get to be on the mats quite as frequently, but I guess my style is still very much what Grandmaster's instilled in me. He always strives for a lot of energy, for loud voices, for great technique, for incorporating new things. So I like to, have strong foundations, but also try to incorporate new things that we haven't done before, so that we have a class that's energetic, that is going to help you grow in your strength and flexibility, but also develop your techniques, help you learn some new techniques. So my ideal class I like to do a little bit of everything. I really like technique practice. I don't feel like we always have to go through every single bit of a form. Sometimes I would rather focus on just a piece of it and make sure you understand the dynamics behind it and the techniques and are doing it correctly. And I think that's something that I hope people take away, is it's okay to not always like get your form hammered on you every time. I feel like sometimes if people come to classes and they didn't do their form over and over, they feel like they didn't get everything they needed to from that class. But if you came to that class and you sweated a little bit and you worked on your technique, then that's really important for growing. Taekwondo doesn't actually have that many different techniques. It's really more about becoming a master at those few techniques. Really high block punch, middle block, low block are 3 basic kicks. Those are kind of the foundation. If you can do those really well, you're going to be able to add on to that much easier. So I really like building that foundation.
All right, we've got some questions here. Mr. Alt, what is your favorite color belt form to teach and why?
It's funny because Master Ian said his favorite color belt form was Taeguk Yukjang, and that has always been my least favorite, which was funny because Master Ian and I are in many ways yin yang. He was one of my favorite instructors to teach with. We taught together a while at HMA too, and that was lots of fun because we have very opposite personalities in some ways. But all that to say, I feel like Taeguk Yukjang is a very sturdy form, and I've always liked the flashier forms personally. So I really like Chiljang. I really liked Sajang and Paljang. Those are probably my 3 favorites when I was going through the curriculum. I think Sajang was my favorite personally when I was going through.
I don't. Okay. I hope that came through on Facebook. I don't know. It came a little unstable on mine. Okay, and then Mr. Gardner has asked the same question. But in your view, difference between being an HMA kid and an HMA adult. There's not many people that can, have that sort of answer to that. That's a great question. All these questions are great, but
I didn't start quite as young as some people, like Master.
Hello?
Hello, am I frozen?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
You were frozen there for a little bit.
Am I back?
It says my internet connection is unstable. Should have paid that bill.
Are we all good now? Are we moving? I feel like
I think so.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I didn't start quite as young as some people. I started as a teenager. So that's kind of an interesting experience because we don't have a ton of people that start as teenagers. Um, but even though I started at 13, I was treated as a kid, really. I was in Dream Team for a couple years before I moved up to leadership team. So I still kind of had that kid experience. We weren't always as strictly 13 and above like we are now. So yeah, for me, it taught me confidence. I was terrified of leading. I almost quit coming when I started having to teach, I remember. But one of my best friends I made at Wong's, and she was teaching before I was, and she would teach. And so she, got me to stick with it. So I always say it's really important to have those friendships that motivate you, because it would have been so sad if I had stopped just because I was a little scared of teaching, because it grew me so much. So yeah, just developing those leadership skills. I remember, in gym class, we had to lead a gym class once in high school, and that was terrifying for a lot of students. But for me, that was like, oh, I do this all the time. I do this at least 3 times a week. Let's do it. So just developing that ability to plan as well, planning out classes, planning out a schedule, planning out a demo, and even now my job, planning out marketing. Wong's is very much a family-run business. And as instructors, we didn't only instruct on the mats, we learned a lot of the dynamics of, running a business, and we learned how to sign people up and how to make phone calls and how to sound professional over the phone. So just all these things that have applied to all areas of my life. So that
Well, I'm happy to accept a donation check for all of the things that Wong's has taught you to the Jung Hwang Legacy Foundation.
Hey, I was able to get you a little bit of a check. So
all right, I think that's it for now. I don't think I see any other questions on here.
What advice would you give to kids on the mat?
Yeah, part of what I was just saying, sometimes it does get taxing, it gets hard, you get tired of it, starts to feel repetitive, you don't want to have to teach, all those kind of negative feelings that can boil up. I remember really feeling that like midway, blue, purple, brown belt, that really started to grate on me a little bit. So if you've ever felt that way, I would really encourage perseverance. I think perseverance is one of those things that is easy to say and hard to actually do. And you don't get better at it unless you actually persevere. You have to actually persevere to gain perseverance. It's a lot like patience. And that kind of goes right along with this as well. So if you're feeling tired, really this is for everyone, not just the kids. Don't give up, keep trying, and it is going to get more fun, and you're going to gain a ton from it. Like it's not, you're not going to regret the time that you invest in growing through your Taekwondo journey, because it's going to be able to apply not only to earn a black belt. That's quite the achievement, and that's remarkable, but becoming a black belt isn't just the belt you put on. It becomes this mentality that you're able to put into your work in the future, into your family, all kinds of things. You're going to have confidence that you wouldn't have had otherwise.
Any advice for adults?
Yeah, I guess that was for everybody, really. That was for kids and adults. But for the adults, I guess I would say, we've had a lot of different families over the years, and there's the families that push their kids and the families that kind of follow their kids' lead. And there's a balance to be struck, I would say. So I would encourage people to find that balance, which is not easy. I used to say that casually as a teenager. Now I say it as a parent and know that it's not easy to do. It's a balance that we're always having to work on each day. But I would just challenge you to if you have kids, training, to help them in that perseverance. Don't let them give up easily, and model that for them. Model that by doing it yourself. I think even as adults, it doesn't get any easier for us to not give up. So we always have that beginner's mindset. I love the Choshim mentality of going back to the beginner's mind. So I think whenever you're getting stuck, that's a good thing to do. Go back to beginner's mind and realize that you still have a lot that you can learn and a lot that you can gain. And if you can approach things with that mindset, you're going to get a lot out of it.
Tell us a little bit about the involvement you had at a community center, but I think COVID kind of shut that down also. So what was going on there?
Yeah, we were right in the middle of it, really. So I recently got to start teaching at a ministry called Hope Place. It's right here in South Louisville, where I live. It's just a couple minutes up the road. Hope Place reaches out primarily to the South Louisville area, and it's a really big international community, a lot of refugees, a lot of people adjusting to living in the US for the first time. So they help them learn the language. They give kids a place to go after school. They have an after school program here that's free for those kids, I think, provide meals and all of that. So it's really exciting to be able to help them add Taekwondo onto that. So I was doing that once a week to get going. We were trying it out and seeing how it went. And we had about 30 kids involved in the program of all different ages. And they were very excited to participate in the first ever Jungwon Legacy Foundation exhibition. We've been training hard for that. So it's really exciting to see how much they were kind of blossoming. It's really cool to see how Taekwondo training can help people feel like they have a voice. You know, sometimes we're taught to be quiet all the time. We're taught that we're not allowed to speak, especially kids, you know, be quiet, you don't, and I can't imagine, you know, if you had moved here from somewhere else even and didn't know the language as well. So it's exciting to give them a place where they could come and be loud and use their energy and not have to sit still, but then also learning how to rein it in at the right times as well. So hopefully we can get right back into that. And if anybody wants to get involved, you can always use other people to help out. Miss Clark, Denise Clark, has been helping out with that as well. So she was a blast to have around at that. So thank you, ma'am.
It's always fun to take our Wong's energy and share it with the community that we live in. And did they approach you, or did you approach them and they go to Grandmaster with the idea? How did that come about, sir?
Yeah, the executive director of that ministry is a neighbor and friend of ours, and her husband works at our church, which my wife works there too. So we know them very well. So they knew that I did Taekwondo. They had asked me to do it actually a couple years ago, but it just hadn't worked out timing wise, too much going on in life. So we finally got it going this year. And then of course, so we had to put it on hold, but yeah. And then of course, Grandmaster Wong and Master Mimi are always extremely excited to help out our community whenever they can. It's really cool, their passion for the Louisville community and for giving back and for using martial arts to build up future generations of leaders. So, yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Anything else you want to share with us?
I have some fun old pictures of Master Mimi I should share.
The Louisville Health Kick first? Maybe not, sir.
Yeah, I think I'm forbidden. But if I mention it, that they exist, maybe somebody can start a petition.
Maybe we could auction that off at the.
All right, we're going to end this meeting. Okay, I hear static. Sorry, I can't understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Some rapid fire questions, sir. What's your favorite food?
I'm so bad at these types of things. It's funny, my daughter loves to ask these questions. So we're constantly at meal times, we go around the table and she tells us what our favorite things are that we have to say. But I have a hard time choosing favorites. You'll be happy to know, students, that I don't choose favorites. I really do enjoy all of you equally. It's very hard for me to choose favorites.
Okay, well then that's going to make it difficult. The next question, so about your favorite color. So your favorite color is whatever Wong's t-shirt you're wearing of the day?
Oh, I do have a favorite color. My favorite color is green.
Green, okay. Perfect. How about a music genre? Do you like to listen to country or rock, or you listen to anything, or Christian music? What do you listen to on your radio or via your phone?
Yeah, I listen to all kinds of music, really. I don't do a lot of heavy metal, though I did have a stage where I was into screamo type music. I don't know if I could do that anymore. Like Master Ian said, I enjoy audiobooks a lot actually on my way to work. But yeah, all kinds of music really. I used to always listen to techno music and like epic soundtrack music, like in college, especially walking from class to class, because I was always planning a demo constantly. So I was always listening to potential demonstration songs and choreographing a demonstration while I walked.
Do you have a favorite motto or saying? What would be J.C. Williams? What would tell us about you?
Not that immediately comes to mind, but I do often find myself quoting black belt philosophies. I do think there's a lot of wisdom in those. So choosing from those, limiting myself, I really enjoy A Journey of 1,000 Miles Begins with the First Step. I think that's a great philosophy that we can apply to all kinds of things. I still have to apply that in adult life. So I think we all do. You know, if we want to do something, we can. We just need to take that first step and grow a little bit at a time.
Is there a sport you enjoy besides Taekwondo?
I don't do any other sports anymore, but I have done a lot of sports and I enjoyed them at the time. I used to be a diver, was like my main competitive sport actually. I don't know if I could actually do any dives anymore, but I was good at it at once in my life. I like tennis and golf and soccer. I like ultimate frisbee a lot. I haven't played that in a while, but that's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Do you have a sports team you pull for?
I don't. I guess my wife really likes Kansas State, so family-wide, we're Kansas State fans.
Smart man, caller. Your HMA color belt form, what's your favorite black belt form that you do?
I guess Pyongwon, which is fourth dan form, though I don't know. I really, when I first learned it, it's always the exciting new one that you love. So for a long time, excuse me, I really enjoyed that form. I don't know. I might be going back to choreo even. I enjoy choreo and taebaek, and I appreciate kamgong. It's not the same though, but.
Oh, all of them. Okay. And you shared your black belt philosophy with us. Do you have a children's home rule that you like to use with your children all the time?
Well, I am constantly telling them they should listen the first time. So I guess children should always listen to their parents and teachers. Is that the first one? I think that's the first children's home rule, right? Or life lesson nowadays.
Life lesson.
So I think that's an important one, the one I use the most often.
Do we have any other questions, Master Mimi?
I don't know if I asked this, but Mr. Gardner had asked if you have any grand champion trophies.
Yes. I lose track of how many. I donated all of my trophies back to Wong's because they're very big. So some of those trophies you see at the various Wong's might be mine. I really don't know anymore. But like 3 of them, maybe 4. I don't know.
What would you do if you won $1 million?
I would donate it to the Jung Wong Legacy Foundation.
Finally getting appreciation around here. No, really.
Oh, really? Did somebody actually ask that?
No, I'm asking you.
Oh, I see. Probably something really practical, like buy a house and just own it outright and then invest the rest in something. My dad does investment management stuff, so I'd ask him for some wisdom.
Okay, great. Last chance for questions. Anybody else? And looks like no.
How'd you get the job of MC, sir?
The job
of Dalton. Yes, it tells us you were always the first MC with Mr. Mimi. How did you acquire that job, sir?
Well, it's funny. It used to be none of the staff were ever the MCs. It was always leadership primarily, and it was always like the same person. But I always remember sitting on the side and being like, oh, I feel like I'd be good at MCing. I'd watched so many tests. I was like, I would enjoy that. I think I know exactly what to say. And then at one point there was a lull. We didn't really know who our MC was anymore. And so Grandmaster or somebody decided to give me and I think it was Instructor Maria and I a chance at first. And yeah, then it went from there. Ever since that, I've been MCing all the time for years. We did it.
Be careful, Miss Smith.
Yeah, it's hard to escape MCing once.
All right, Mr. Gardner. Oh, sorry, go ahead, ma'am.
I said he got that pat on the back that all of us have had. Off you go.
Yes. All right, Mr. Gardner asks, any wisdom for our graduates, the high school graduates?
High school
seniors, the seniors.
I don't know.
Jackson Sabanim, Claire Sabanim.
My wisdom would be to really appreciate the time of life you're in and focus on what you want to get out of it. I think I had a hard time in college because I did not have a clear idea of what I wanted to get out of it, where I was going from it. So it made it hard for me to like put as much effort into it as I should have. So goal setting, set a goal for what you're hoping to achieve. So you have a clear thing that you're working for. I think that makes a big difference.
Okay, great. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Master Mimi, are we going to announce who our next victim is going to be, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. All right, so we're going to reveal the next guest that we're going to have on May
16th.
May the 16th. And it is, Master Cook, I'll let you announce it.
He got the most roses in the Instructor Challenge, so it will be Brian Sabanem from HMA Easton. So start thinking of your questions. You can submit them on the day through Facebook Live, and we'll gladly ask anything and everything.
Fantastic. All right.
Thank you for your time today, sir.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.